Hello and welcome to Thursday Night Live. I hope you all are having a great evening tonight. So my topic tonight is going to be kind of interesting and a lot fun, and you're all going to be like giggling on the inside. And I really hope Marco gets here in time because he's really going to like this topic. So tonight, I am going to be talking a bit about the sexual predators of the spirit world, speaking specifically about incubuses and succubines. And so incubus and incubuses, that's a terrible plural, and succubines are the sexual predators of the spirit world. They prey on men and women through trying to establish sexual acts. Many times they will visit a person, at night when they're trying to sleep. They will lie on them. They will touch them. And they, according to the lore, that's tied to it, they commonly appear as a husband, like a deceased husband, wife, or a lover. Now, according to church lore, though they're demons, but anything that's invisible and not of this physical world are considered demons. And it's interesting because I've worked with several people that have had this as a problem. Now, the phenomena of these creatures is very different from dealing with a regular attached entity, which we've talked about on this show. A regular attached entity waits until something happens and you get triggered on the inside. And when your energy is of a low vibration, they kind of step in and try to control and manipulate the space so they can draw from you the vibration of the negative energy. With these characters, they don't operate in the same way. They don't tend to, I'm not going to say they don't always, but they don't tend to enter the auric field. They want to be well known. They will touch you again. For some, I've had clients where they will touch them all day in inappropriate ways. You get my drift. And I don't know. I mean, it's just very different. That whole dynamic is just very different. And from a cursory looking in on it perspective, because this phenomena is way less than having a traditional attached entity, it seems like they want your attention. They're touching you to get your attention, to get you upset, but not in so that they can control you. I mean, the phenomena doesn't make any sense to me, but it is a real phenomena. And if you read the literature online, because of course it's coming from mainstream sources, you're having night terrors, or you're having this, or, it's your imagination. I mean, they definitely discount the whole thing. But I have had both men and women make these complaints to me. I had one client who actually was being guided by this intuitive person that she was going to meet this guy and she should connect to his energy and she should call him to her. Yeah, call him to her. And what she ended up doing was calling one of these incubuses to her, and they would like have sex at night, like ghost sex at night. Only for her to discover that there really wasn't some guy that she was calling to her, but she had opened the door to bringing this into her life. Now the she was the only one who actually like there was a cause and effect, which totally made sense to me of why this was happening. These other people, I don't sit there and go, well, are you a perv? And is that why you're bringing this into your life? Um, I don't get that impression in the general sense of the word. Um, and a lot of them don't like it at, at all. It's just weird and uncomfortable to have a ghost um, get fresh with you when you don't want them to. Um, but I don't sense the same kind of negativity that I sense off of a regular attached entity. Um, but bottom line, these entities, these incubus and succubuses, they're kind of a pain in the butt. Um, they bother you all the time. Many times they come when you're starting to fall asleep, and so it's challenging to sit there and use your tools to stop them. I mean, short of waking yourself up, but the impression I get is that they are like ready to fall asleep. Not that they've just climbed in bed, and they're on that verge of sleeping. And so it's challenging to hold your guard up, to sit there and go tap or meditate or do things that you maybe would do to deal with it, say some prayers because you're falling asleep, which makes it them harder to deal with in the general sense. And again, and this is me just speaking, I don't really understand their motives, what they are getting out of it, unless you are participating. I mean, if you are participating in these sexual acts with these incubus and succubi, then that makes sense to me. But a lot of these people are not interested in interacting with them. Now, I am going to make one caveat, and this was my only story for years and years and years and years about this phenomena. I was working a psychic fair and was doing these 15-minute readings, and this guy sits down and I'm doing cards. I mean, I do cards at fairs, and I'm talking to him and we're wrapping up, and I said, and I'm the whole time I see this like woman, and her energy was going like this around his body, around his neck, coming over here. I mean, she was just like swirling around him. And I finally said something. I go, you have this woman who's like swirling all around you. It's really kind of weird. And he just looked at me and he goes, yeah, ain't it great? And I just had to step away from that one. So apparently he was one of the people who was in agreement to this very interesting and different kind of relationship. So I'm not saying that any of you have this issue going on, but if you happen to, and if you happen to be listening to this episode because it is something that is bothering you, here are some things that you can try. I mean, first and foremost is really making sure that you keep your energy high. So if you find yourself moving into a negative space, you're feeling upset, you're feeling worried, you're getting angry, you need to take a step back and become mindful of that and do things to shift your energy into a higher vibration, because as with regular entities, that makes it so that they can get inside your auric field and try to control you. One of the things that I always suggest, one thing, all right, I'm going to come back to that one, is don't communicate with them, because if their goal is to get your attention, and if their goal is to get you to give them energy, positive and negative, get the hell out of here has just as much energy as you trying to have a conversation with them and understand what's going on. It is a much better strategy to ignore them, to just totally ignore them. One of the things that I suggest to people is to do something like imagine that they're sitting in a chair across the room. Just tell them go sit in a chair across the room, and have them go there, because then they're not next to you and they're not touching you and they're over there. And like any other practice, you might put them in the chair and 5 minutes later they're back. And you need to put them in the chair, and you need to be very consistent and very persistent, kind of like you're training a puppy. that, that's where they belong, not in your space. Again, when you're starting to fall asleep, this is where it becomes a bit more challenging. Um, you know, and for many people, and I missed this point, when they have this phenomena happening, there's a lot of confusion around it because usually it's very unsuspecting people, just, like regular people that have this happen. And, they go through this, a lot of confusion, like, is this really happening to me? What's going on? What is it? Which gives the incubus or succubus a lot more power and a lot more control over what's going on. Um, but the more that you learn about them and the more you understand the dynamic, the stronger you can become and give and gray rock them. I mean, that's a term out of the narcissistic library, but gray rock them where they just are over there, and because eventually they will get tired and they will move on because they're not getting anything from you. They're not able to feed off of you and sustain their life, and so they're going to go to someone else who's a much more likely victim. And so what I'm saying sounds easy, but again, it's a practice and it's something that you need to do. um, and there has to be a willingness on your part to want to change yourself to do these things. Many times people come to me that have some kind of a spirit attachment issue, whatever that might be, and they want me to fix it. And I can't fix it. I can't change your energy. I can't change what's going on inside of you, the behavior that you're just displaying to get them to go away. I can support you. I can do some energy work to kind of help move them out of your space, but that will only work for so much time. Um, and so if you're someone that is suffering from this, you know, again, don't think about them, don't talk to them, have them go over there and keep your energy firm that you do not want to have a relationship with them and they need to go and find somebody else. But that should be a very brief discussion, like, nope, you need to go away. And then you move on, you change the subject in your head because even you thinking about them gives them energy. And that's what they're wanting is you and your energy. And so learning to control and maintain what's going on inside, which we talk about on this show all the time, is the key to ending the relationship and having them become your ex mystery ghost perverted lover. Yeah. So that's this week's Soul Healer moment. I hope you all enjoyed that. It's always an interesting one when I come up with a weirdie. Uh, And if you have questions, please put those questions in the chat area, and I'll try to answer them best I can. Okay. So as always, this show is brought to you by soulhealer.com, which is my website where you can stop by and check out the many articles that are going on. And from there you can schedule a private consultation from me. Because maybe you have an entity attachment and you need to get some insights. Anyway, soulhealer.com. This show is also brought to you by the Institute of Applied Energetics, where you can become a medical intuitive, intuitive counselor, or certified energy medicine practitioner. You can go to the website, appliedenergeticsinstitute.com, and download my free 50-page Jumpstart Your Intuition guide. Go there. It's free. You never know, because there are tools and exercises in there that you can try out just because. And then one of the things that I would like to share also, please do stop by my different social media pages. It's Just Energy Radio on YouTube, Dr. Rita Louise -Live on Facebook, Psychic Doc on Rumble, Dr. Rita Louise on BitChute, and Dr. Rita Louise on Twitter. And I now have a Substack account, which I'm really enjoying Substack, and that's Dr. Rita Louise on Substack as well. And if you're listening to this show in a rerun format or after the fact, You can always join the fun by going to my YouTube channel, which is Just Energy Radio on YouTube. That's 3 words, Just Energy Radio on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central every Thursday evening, and enter the chat and get a free on air psychic reading from me. How fun is that? Okay, so let me go, and because there's a lot of comments, and I'm just going to start going through. If you want to communicate with me directly, please do type in all capital letters so that I can separate out conversation with myself and you guys just chit-chatting, which is great. So, and it's the first person that wants a reading, they get a reading. So here goes. So Yvonne says hi. Hi, Yvonne. Karen says hi. Hi, Karen. So Karen's number one. I think there's like this battle for number one, like who can get in first and get that first slot. And she would like a number 3. Okay. All right, Karen. How did I know this was going to happen? Karen, that's what you got today. So for anybody new here, this is called a mass card. And when these cards turn up, it usually means that there's some interference in what you're trying to do, a blockage, something you don't want to look at, but an obstacle to the energy moving. Okay. And Karen, so even though this was a good card, I'm liking this one better. I'm liking this one better. Okay, so Karen, I get the impression that you have been all work and no play. And I feel like in your work, and I don't necessarily mean like your 9 to 5 work, but your work, that it's not moving forward, that there are some obstacles in the way, and you're not sure how to kind of break through or move forward with them. And I feel like you taking a different approach and having it be more fun, be more kindergarten, be lighter, will make it so that it's more palatable, but it will also help set the momentum that you're doing these things in joy, not out of need. You know, in Kabbalah, they have the tree of life. And when you talk about the dynamic of, and I'm going to say work, there's doing things like balancing your checkbook, like that is work, doing your taxes, that is work. And then there's this free flow of energy that if it's flowing too freely, you don't really get anything done. And it is blending those together. And I feel like you're off balance and you're more on that work side. And the spirit is wanting you to come more to center, to balance, you know, have a better work life balance relationship. Okay. And again, as always, if what I'm saying is resonating with you, please do leave a comment below. I'd appreciate it. Okay. And Master Player is next. Hey, Master Player. And he would like a number 1. Number 1. Okay. All right. And that's your card for today. So, Master Player, I am getting the impression that I'm going to say spirit has been tossing out this idea to you that seems more fantasy-like than something that is doable and achievable. I'm going to put the caveat in there. I am feeling like spirit is the one tossing it out. And so perhaps you need to take that into a little bit more consideration to figure out what you can do to bring that into your life, because I feel like this isn't the first time this has come up and you've just kind of tossed it to the side. And if it seems too fanciful, you know, break it down into those smaller pieces. Well, what do you need for me to do first? Or what do you need for me to do next? And allow the process to unfold. Okay. All right. Now we have Yvonne, who is in here first, but is not till number 3, which I don't get. Okay, Yvonne, number 3. All right. And Yvonne, that's your card for today. So, Yvonne, this is really kind of interesting. I feel like there's a decision in front of you. That's the way I'm going to state it. Um, but I feel like every time you look at the decision, there's this heaviness tied to it. I feel like your mind wants it to be a yes, but your body is saying no, 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 no. I feel like there are some carrots being dangled, like, well, if you do this, it'll be good exposure and blah, blah, blah. But I'm not feeling it for you. It just feels heavy and work like, and it would just take energy away from doing other things. And so, even though it might seem like a good opportunity, I'm just not feeling it. I'm just not feeling it. Let me know what you think. Okay. ERRT Radio is here. Hey, ERRT Radio. All right. And he would like a number 3. Okay. And I'm going to get a lozenger first. Okay. Okay, and that's your card for today. Okay, so I'm going to say this out loud. I hope this isn't too much, I'm sharing too much personal here, but I'm just feeling like you're not feeling really good, like you're not feeling really good today. And I feel like, on the good part, I feel like you're trying to figure things out, do things to kind of keep your energy higher. So I definitely give you a kudos on that part. Um, and not that I want your energy to collapse and cave in on you, but it's okay to own that place of I don't feel good and give yourself permission to just not feel good and curl up in bed or curl up on the sofa and just love and nurture yourself. This period right now is about you loving and nurturing yourself. Yeah, I'm going to leave it right there. And we got Miss Amy. Hi, Miss Amy. Happy Thursday to you. May I have a reading, please? Number 2. You sure can. All right, Amy, and that's your card for today. Okay, so you're kind of opposite of, I think it was Yvonne, where I feel like you're being given some direction to follow and there's work involved, but I'm feeling like for you, the work is required in order for you to get to the next step. I'm not getting the same kind of heaviness around the choice. I am getting some complaining from you, like, I don't really want to do that. But I'm not, but I feel like even if you sit there and try to blow it off, spirit's just going to come back with the same thing and the same thing and the same thing. And so I asked the question, is there an easier way for you to do it? And they said no. And I said, okay, so I'm passing that piece of information on to you as well. Okay, so they did say that you could farm out some of it and, you know, get help. That not that you have to do it by yourself, but it is the direction that they are trying to lead you. Okay. All right. And Christine, hey Christine, and you can want your reading number 3. You sure can. Oops, I didn't click on you, Christine. There you are. My computer's just been weird lately. Okay, and that's your card for today. Man, there's a lot of decisions going on in here today. So, Christine, I feel like you have a decision that, and I'm air quoting this, that you're trying to make, but I feel like you've really already made the decision. I feel like the decision that has been made, you're not really liking, you're not feeling real comfortable about it, or there's some guilt, or there's something, you know, making it be more challenging to choose that path. But I feel like that path is, you know, is really about like honoring yourself and loving yourself and listening to yourself, because I feel like you've asked this question before and you've gotten the same answer, but you just are not happy or willing to do it. And so just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Okay, want to hear more about that. All right. And we have Vesta. Hey, Miss Vesta. And she wants a 3. Ooh, you even got a number in tonight. Woohoo. Uh-oh. So Vesta, you just got a mask card, and you got a yucky card right behind that. Ooh, and another mask card. All right, let me flip these over. Okay. All right. You know, so even though this has to do with your energy, it's not really about you. So how's your dad doing? My feeling is that you have a lot of worry around him, and that's where those mask cards are coming from. Is your worry about him? You know, and I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, well, you know, he's going to be alive for 2 more weeks, because, well, one, I would never do that on air. But this is what I am going to say. Keep your eye on him. I'm a little worried about him too. You know, and I'm not really looking deep, but I am getting a bit of a warning around him. So, you know, if your alarm bells have been kind of going off, then it's appropriate, because I'm kind of getting that too. Okay. And I hate that, but it is what it is. And please let me know if I'm hitting on that, because I do not like being the bearer of like kind of yucky news. And I'm not saying like, oh, he's gonna die, but I'm concerned about him. Okay, and so yeah, you see what I know. You know what I mean. And Bradley George is in the house. Hey, Bradley, I was hoping you would come tonight. We've been missing you. Okay, Ricky's here. Good evening, Dr. Rita. Happy Thursday. May I have a number 1, please? Thank you. You sure can. And that's your card for today. So, Ricky, I get the impression that you have a new project that you've just started on or are in the anticipation of starting on. I mean, it feels very new. I feel like your interaction with this project is a bit different than other ones you've done in the past. I feel like in this situation, you're letting spirit lead versus you wanting your ego to move things forward. I feel like you're just allowing it to come to you versus you pushing it forward. And in my experience, when you allow it to come to you, things tend to work out a whole lot better, a whole lot easier. Okay? So good job. Good job. Okay. Hey, Veronica. Nice to see you. Oh my God. It's Sarah. Sarah. Do I have the right camera on? Hang on one second. I'm like looking at my cell phone. Yeah, it's the right camera. Why am I all blurry looking? Mm-hmm. Anyway, hey, Sarah. Do you want a reading? What time is it? You better hurry up and put that in there. So ERRT Radio says, wow, that would be very strange. So I'm assuming you're talking about the incubus and succubus, and it is really strange. It's really strange to read it. But it is there. I've seen it in multiple instances. So I can't sit there and say, oh, well, that's just a bunch of crap, because it's just there. So, and Veronica says, are you talking about those incubus? One of my friends had that experience. Yeah, kind of weird, huh? ERRT Radio says, be very careful who you invite in. Veronica, I talked about that. Hi, Nina. Nice seeing you. Hi, Miss Deb. Thank you. I think it was a great topic. Okay. Okay. So, Trisha, I don't know how long it's been. So, if you want to get a reading, just put, I would like to get a reading at a number from 1 to 3. You too, Sarah, 1 through 3, and I'll pull a card for you and do a little reading. So, okay. Unar. Hey, Unar. You would like a reading number 2? You sure can. God, it is math card day. Okay, Unar. Let's see. Okay, I'm back in focus. Okay, got another mask card. This is much stronger. Okay, I'm going to read this card. So you had mask card, kind of like a not a great card, a death and dying card. This one was okay, but I wasn't feeling the energy clear. Another mask card, which is tied to this one. And then this card. So, Unar, what I'm feeling for you is you are being challenged in loving yourself, or feeling challenged. Um, I feel like whenever you sit there and you think of that subject or you want to do that, it brings up negative cognition, guilt, fear, all of this stuff that is keeping you from actually having a relationship with yourself. And so that's the piece you need to dig into. That's the programming that is keeping you separate from having a relationship with yourself, and when we love ourselves, we are able to have boundaries. We're able to filter things out better as far as like what we want and what we don't want. And I'm feeling like that's something you want, but obstacles keep getting in the way. And paying attention to when you're trying to have it and what those obstacles are. And I feel like it's some kind of a negative thinking, inner programming kind of thing, because that's the piece that needs to be addressed. That's the piece that needs to be worked on, because it is keeping you from having that in your life. Okay, let me know if that makes sense for you. Okay, so I guess Marco's here. Marco, there you are, Marco. So you missed the beginning. I talked about incubuses and succubuses, and I was like, Marco needs to be here because we're talking about sexual predators. Not that I'm saying you're a sexual predator, but we were talking about sex stuff. Anyway. Okay, so Sarah says River is picking 5. Okay, so it only goes 1 to 3. So I'm going to give you a 3. Okay, and that's your card for today, River. So, River, one of the things that you're showing me is that you have just completed something, or a cycle has just ended. I feel like you're glad to have put that behind you. And I just am feeling like this lightness and more buoyancy to you. Um, as if, you just finished working on your taxes and you're like, oh my God, I just put them in the mail. And how elated we all feel when that is done and we don't have to think about it anymore. And that's kind of the energy you're showing me right now. And so enjoy it, have fun with it. I get the impression that you try to live your life in that vibration. And I feel like whatever this was not a normal thing for you. So there's that. Like doing taxes sucks. Okay. All right. Master Player said, good advice once again. Thank you. You're so welcome. Wow. All kinds of good people in here. Hey, Pierre. Nice to see you. Thanks for coming to the show tonight. So ERRT Radio says, very interesting. Thank you for the reading. And Marco says, I was just thinking, Rita has fabulous movie star hair. Okay, so Sarah, too late. I already did the reading. Okay, Pierre would like a reading number 1. Okay. Okay, Pierre, so that's the card that came up for you. So Pierre, this is kind of an interesting energy. I feel like in the moment you have been kind of in this hiding place. I feel like it really irritates you because it's not your vibration, but I feel like there's this kind of fear of consequences that if you step outside the box, that there's going to be some kind of reproduction, which you especially don't like. Um, and I feel like the only solution to that is to become fearless and just be like, I don't even care. Um, I mean, I'm pretty sure you're in Canada, so I don't know what the rules are there. Um, but walking around with all that worry about it, I feel is just not really healthy. I'm not really sure where to go with that. Okay. All right. So Christine says, thank you for the reading on point. You're so welcome. Amy says, oh God, I keep saying I don't want to work that hard out loud. I just don't want to go back to an IT job. Tell me it isn't that. I'm going to give you a different focus, Amy. Put out the energy that you can find an IT job that's easy, where they pay you to show up every day, but what you need to do is just not really that much. Because I know that there are jobs like that out there. One thing about having like a real job is that you have to show up. And that's the biggest thing, is you have to show up. But it's a very different dynamic than working for yourself, where you're out pounding pavement and putting in all this time and energy to make things work and make things happen. You have to show up and like contribute, and you get your paycheck. And it's usually a pretty good one, especially in IT. So, all right. All right, let's see. Sarah says we are picking 3. No, Sarah, it's like there's a very long list that I have to scroll through. So, okay, you're not stuck. Let's see. So Bradley said, would invite Nina, Deb, and you for espresso. Okay. Oh, there you go. All right, Sarah. So I did the reading. So if you didn't hear it, it's on the thing. All right. So Marco says, I'm not a sexual predator. I know you're not a sexual predator, but the topic tonight was about ghosty sexual predators, and I thought you would get a kick out of it. That's it. Not you, the topic. Unar says, well, that was a great reading. I really felt that one. I feel like you have extra good energy tonight. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, Austin, and you sure can have a number 2. Okay, and that's your card for tonight. Interesting, Austin. So when I look at your energy, I just feel like it's a little bit down. And, I want to offer a bit of a course correction. I feel like you have this belief that other people should give to you, should nurture you, should take care of you, and that might be a little bit strong, so that it will raise your energy. But I feel like you're looking for this external thing to help you shift your energy versus looking inside and nurturing yourself and working on shifting your own energy. Because if you want to experience happiness on a more daily basis, it's not getting other people to make us happy. It's about making ourselves happy. Okay, I hope that makes sense. All right, and I think we're at the bottom of the list. Okay, so I'm going to, all right, I'm not going to do private readings, but if there's a question about like the incubuses or attached entities or about, auras and chakras or ghosts or, just any generic topic that you have a question. And I would like to encourage you guys, if there's something that you've seen that you have questions about, I'm game, especially on days like today where there's some extra time. So Pierre says, thanks, that's helping. Great. And then Amy says, thank you. I don't like it. Kick the dirt. Heading to the tip jar. Yeah, everybody, don't forget, if your reading was good and you feel so inclined, you can leave a little something, something in the tip jar by going to soulhealer.com/live. That's soulhealer.com/live. And there's a link to do a PayPal donation, or you can use the shopping carts that are set up in ordinary increments. You can use Visa, MasterCard for that. But I would really appreciate it. Okay, Austin says that's very accurate. Thank you very much for your time and consideration. Well, I hope we get to see you again more often. Nina says, I got some good news today because I said no more. Well, that's good. That's good. Anyway, guys, anything else? All right. Well, it's an early evening, but I am going to go ahead and sign out for today. As always, this show is brought to you by me, soulhealer.com. So if you need to, if you have additional questions about what we talked about today or about anything, please go to my webpage and reach out to me to set up a time for a private consultation. It's brought to you by the Institute of Applied Energetics, where you can learn to become a medical intuitive counselor, or energy medicine practitioner. You can go to that webpage and download my free Jumpstart Your Intuition guide. 50 pages, has exercises, can start you on your way to opening the door to your intuition. And that's about it for today. So until next week, I'm Dr. Rita Louise. This is Thursday Night Live. Be blessed.